I gotta say, Knew Amsterdam Radio is brought to you in part by Anchor FM. Have you ever thought about making your own podcast? You see, when I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? And most importantly, I don't want to deal with cables and wires and all those things. You see, the answer to every single one of these questions is pretty simple. Anchor. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And you can use your phone, which is pretty awesome. Now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. So if you ever wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Hello. This is Knew Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. How is everyone doing out there? My name is Flobo Boyce, and I want to thank you so much for checking out the podcast and telling everyone about the show. I can see the numbers. The data is telling me that there's more and more people joining in, listening in to the show than ever before. So I have to say, welcome. Knew Amsterdam Radio is something that kind of started as an embarrassing side project. Embarrassing in that I didn't tell anyone about it. I would do a podcast in secret and go back and forth and him and haw. But if I should tell people about it, if I should have guests, or if I should make it bigger than what it is. And something happened. Something beautiful happened. It got bigger on its own, which is really cool. I think anyone who creates anything, that's what we really want. We want a Mickey Mouse moment where something can be bigger than yourself. Not saying this podcast is on the level of Mickey Mouse, but hey, everyone starts somewhere, right? On this episode, I do have a very special announcement, a little bit of a two-part, our first ever two-part episode going here. Jim Alexander, no relation to last week's guest, Jamie Alexander, but Jim Alexander has been one of my good friends here in Los Angeles in terms of hosting, in terms of just being comfortable in your own skin. He's from the Midwest, but he has a very East Coast attitude, which I appreciate, and we work together as hosts at AfterBuzz TV, which recently a lot of my guests come from that connection, and that's okay, because I like to share that part of life with you. And we're going to break this up into two segments. For those of you who are not versed in the AfterBuzz world, Jim is no longer involved, and so I really wanted to get into his mindset about his recent departure for the company and what we can draw from that. It's really about deciding when to pivot, whether or not the inciting incident is up to you or not. And next week, the second part, we're going to focus more about Jim's story of how he built his own empire with his website. I was floored with the level of knowledge that not only Jim has, but he's willing to share. But before we get into that, some housekeeping. You know how that goes. NewAmsterdam.com is a website. You can find all the episodes of the podcast there. I am on social media at Flobo Boyce on Twitter, at Flobito on Instagram, and of course Flobito.com. And you can support the show by buying a t-shirt or a hoodie over at flobito.threadless.com. Or if you want bonus content, you see all the interviews in their full glory. The unabridged interviews are available on Patreon, so you don't have to worry about things that are cut out. You get the whole story over at patreon.com/Flobo Boyce. By the way, that's me, the owner, the host, the developer of Knew Amsterdam as a brand and lifestyle, and in the podcast as well. But you guys didn't tune in to hear me talk about the things I'm working on. You tuned in to hear me talk with other people and what they're working on. So let's get to it. Jim Alexander, Conversations with the King. As I say, we're inside the King's court. Dinner with the King. Tea with the King. High tea with the King. I don't know how else to describe it. This guy is royalty when it comes to just being yourself. So enough gushing. Let's get to it. have the idea that we were at AfterBuzz for about a year. And for a series of events, you can go in as deep as you want. You're no longer with AfterBuzz.
Right.
And I do think a lot of the listeners on our AfterBuzz shows are quick to write you off as heel Jim, negative Jim, he's a bad person. I know you don't care about what individuals think of you. You said as much just in this interview, but if you had a chance to set things straight on your end, I mean, what was mistold, anything you want to get across, now be the time, bro.
Yeah, so appreciate that. So yeah, I'm no longer part of AfterBuzz. I was there. We kind of started, I think, around the same time, didn't we? I know. Yeah, we literally started the same week, and we were on the same show, Raw, together, and Christy's show. Something to wrestle with. Yeah, exactly. Former NXT member, for those of you that don't know. Yeah. So yeah, we started at the same time. We had the same entry, and we were there for almost a year and a half. Until this point, so we had a good run. The thing with AfterBuzz is, listen, I think it's a good place for a lot of people who want to get into the industry and get their reps in, who don't have much experience, and it's a place, it's like going to college, and it comes a point where you need to graduate, and I felt like, hey, it put me on a panel. It did help me develop my skills, no doubt about it. Being part of an awesome panel, I enjoyed my time on doing Raw, especially. I've done other shows, but Raw was something you look forward to every Monday, going especially into the studio, having our conversations as we would before and after for hours, and that was my bonding time, with my friends, with you and Jack and Mac, and, when we had our crew back then, that was some of my funnest times, and nothing can minimize that. I mean, while I'm waiting for my laundry to be there also.
They have a washer dry in the back.
Right.
And Jimmy uses it every week. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, AfterBuzz did provide that, so kudos for that. But it was a good time every Monday there, and man, those memories with you guys, like, I met some cool hosts, man, some good people. Mike Thielen is another guy, a really good friend, I made from there. And there's just a bunch of people I either did shows with, but, that I consider friends, and I think that they are good, legitimate people and talented people. There's, of course, a bunch, as any college or any team, that people are not going to like. And straight up, I never tried to sugarcoat things like, oh yeah, I love everyone. Like, no, that's not. When you have like 100+ hosts, you're not going to like some people, and you see these people over and over.
I actually asked the.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 400.
Holy crap! Wow, I thought it was like, there you go. There's a lot of people that go through it. I think at some point, if you're doing hosting or reporting entertainment, like, you've been through AfterBuzz. It's like, it's known in LA.
Community college for sure.
Yeah, it's literally, it's your local community college in the area. And, it works for a lot of people. It gives them a reel. It gives them some footage. So there's nothing to take away from that. I mean, I think it's beneficial a lot of times. And it was cool to talk about wrestling. So that part of the panel, I thought it was...
Can I jump in there real quick about the AfterBuzz and the people? People don't really know, like, how much AfterBuzz hosts get paid. Because a lot of fans talk really slick about us. Mm-hmm. Like this is our job. We get paid millions of dollars. Like, we're Stephen A.
Yeah.
But we're not,
No, definitely not, man. It like I said, it costs you more sometimes to do these shows and do the red carpets and stuff than you would gain from it, right? Yeah. I mean, it's like out of pocket expenses in a lot of ways, too. So you're definitely not doing it for that. You're doing it for reps and kind of putting your name out there and getting some tape and, actually figuring out what you're comfortable and good at. I know it worked that way for you, man. You went from kind of the fan, shy and quiet panelist to dude being the best moderator I've ever had on that show, and far superior one that I ever would be. So you found your niche too by doing these shows. I remember your start and the way you are now. Like, dude, you are a pro when it comes to moderating a panel. I swear to you, I've never seen a better moderator in anything that I've been part of, because you just know how to. You're like the Steve Nash, man, throwing lobs and assists and scoring when needed.
I'll take that.
Yeah, no question. 2-time MVP, by the way.
Exactly.
So in that sense, I give credit to its due, but in my perspective, I've had an early fallout with AfterBuzz. It started a long time ago before. It was a long time coming, and I was thinking about when to graduate, when to step away, because in one sense, while it's beneficial to a lot of people, it wasn't that beneficial to me in a sense where I didn't need the red carpets to get on there as some people did, because I already did that, and I got in ReelTalker, surprisingly got on the same carpets that AfterBuzz did, even though they have way more following and subscriptions and all. But I didn't need that aspect of
people listening to this podcast trying to start their own thing, that you can be on the top of the big boys if you stick with it.
Totally. Look at AfterBuzz's reach. I mean, you have so many subscribers, and they're known. It's a proven brand. But me, ReelTalker, literally gets about like 80% of the same red carpets as they do. Which is crazy. And I'm a little mom and pop shop in a lot of ways too. So think about it that way. When you build your house, the possibilities are endless if you keep at it. But yeah, going back to that, so I had a fallout with Kevin Undergaro. I didn't want that to happen. I never asked for it to happen, but I had asked him for a few months in when I was there. I asked him if he could write me in a sense a recommendation or just give me some tips about applying to a job that I had already applied, just anything I can do to maybe do a follow-up email to them, and anything he could share, so because it was someone I looked up to. It's someone that at the time, it was the head of, it still is the head of AfterBuzz, and that's someone who's been in the industry. It would be a great benefit for me to, and putting in time as I have been. I was doing 6 shows when I started off. 6 shows. I was there almost literally 5 to 6 days a week.
We've all done that.
Yeah, we've all done it at some point too. So, but he basically said, "I never heard of you." When we had this he never responded to my email. I finally got a chance to get it in front of him in the hallway, and it was not the same person that I thought he was initially, and it just really surprised me, the reaction I got, and I felt like I was dead man walking from then on. Then there was a week later was a giving back kind of day that they do for hosts, and he buried me in front of everyone. He didn't say my name, but I was right there, and he looked at me in the eye, and I looked right back at him when he said, we have some bad apples here, and, all of you are great, but sometimes people get here that are bad, and all these things. I'm like, dude, I just asked you, and listen, people want to talk to, say I'm a bad guy or this. I have proof of all this too. I literally have proof of the emails and stuff. I just asked the guy for advice, and I felt like I don't really want to be in an environment where, I felt like it was an internship in a lot of ways for me. That's how I kind of treated the place. And every internship you do, the least you could do is give someone a recommendation, man. And it's not like I just, in my first week, I was there 3 months, and we were making Raw one of the highest rated Raw shows they ever had, at that time. So it's like, you didn't know who I was? And when he told me, and I knew it was over the relationship there in a sense with management, when he straight up said to me, he's like, "Well, I've never heard of you." I'm like, "Do you watch your shows?" He's like, "Well, if you were any good, I would have heard by you. I would have heard from you from my producers by now." And that was a shot that, me as a guy, and I do have an ego, and I have, self-respect for myself in a lot of ways that some people will. Hey, it's their prerogative, but some people they're okay with not, letting kind of be, someone take the upper hand over them, but I don't. And it's I was like, no, that's not the kind of environment I want to be in. But I stayed almost for another year. Literally, I didn't think I would last. I thought they were trying to get rid of me or whatever, or they didn't. But I guess we created compelling television, but I was still always around, and I literally stayed for you guys and the show. And it came to a head, as it was noted with the tweets and stuff, where once again I felt like I was attacked and they didn't have my back, and I'm not surprised because they never really did at that point, and I knew the opportunities were never coming for me. I never got a call up to do something, and to like, hey, we have this thing for you, want to be part of. All the other hosts were getting, I never got calls, and I'm okay with that. It never bothered me. It's just kind of the big picture aspect of it. So didn't have a great relationship, but that's reality. You're just not going to sometimes have a great relationship with your employers, and it's unfortunate. Not that they're my employers in that way, but you just got to keep on doing work. I can say things. At the end of the day, I never threw them under the bus publicly, did anything disparaging on the shows, did anything to seriously offend or rile up anyone. If I did, I would have been gone immediately. It wouldn't have come to a bunch of tweets that they had to protect one of their own over to do that. So, at the end of the day, I'm more than okay, ending that relationship. I'm sure they're fine also, as they have 400 hosts who can always replace you. I mean, the show goes on, and I'm good. I mean, it just gives me more focus on my own things, and I think it was a long time coming. It just sucks that I don't get to hang out and see my friends, but like I said, you got to keep on building your house. It all boils down to the end. Build your own home, and later you have somewhere to go, because if I banked everything on AfterBuzz or any other place like that, freelance, it would have been, in a sense, career crushing, because where would I go? What would I do? But having that home always gives you a landing spot when you need it. So, it is what it is. It's like, I know you hear different things, and certain people, I don't have the impression of who runs AfterBuzz in the most favorable way. It's not what I was led on to believe earlier. The people were the way they were. There's obviously politicking, and it happens in every kind of place where there's a lot of people around and stuff, but hey, I'm sure a lot of people have no issues and have fine relationships, and that's good for them. Just for me, it wasn't the right one, and I'm gonna be me at the end of the day, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm here talking with the king in the King's Court. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I know that we get into the whole your backstory and like who you're from and what you did, but I think it's a cool way of showing people that if you took time at the beginning to focus on your craft, it's paying off dividends now. So as we wrap this
up, it's a big takeaway.
It is. I mean, dude, you're teaching us the game. If you have anywhere people can follow you online or your Patreon, put everything over, brother.
Hey, thanks to you, I need to get my ass in gear, because this is one thing. We all have flaws. My flaw is trying to multitask and do too many things at once and set up things. And this is something for everyone that can take, Try not to stretch yourself out too much in a sense, because then you take away from different things. Like, my Patreon's game is weak right now, and I need to step it up. So I know that's something you're really good at. That's one thing I learned from you, is like how I'm impressed how you're always on top of your game with so many different platforms. Like, for me, that's my crutch. That's something I need to get better on, to keep on posting continuous content and spreading over platforms. But my Patreon, which is I'm working on, I'm just building content so I can post a lot of it at one time. It's patreon.com/the Jim Alexander. So TheJim Alexander. And same thing for my social media. So Instagram, Twitter, you can find me at the Jim Alexander. So at least I got that coordinated.
Hey.
Everywhere's pretty much the Jim Alexander. And, I urge people to check out my YouTube page. It's ReelTalker. Just type in ReelTalker, REEL Talker. Two different words on YouTube, and you can check out. I have literally a few hundred interviews posted up there that I've done, so you guys could check out what I've done and maybe take some tips or things not to do. A lot of there, and of course, ReelTalker.com. That's my hub. That's my home. I'm still building with those bricks, so that's where you can reach me. And I'll sometimes throw back a snarky comment for some of the marks and minions, but
sometimes. Once again, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Got to stop there for this week. This concludes part 1 of my conversation with Jim Alexander. We'll be back next week with part 2. We can focus really on how Jim got to build his own empire with the ReelTalker brand. I'm so excited for that part. So please come back for part 2 with my conversation with Jim Alexander. This is Knew Amsterdam Radio, a podcast for creatives, where we sit down with people really making things happen from an idea. See, Knew Amsterdam, the idea was that it was a city that would give anyone citizenship if they had an idea in their mind and were willing to act on it, willing to create. And if you're a creator, welcome. So if you haven't already, tell a friend about the show, share it. This podcast is available on Apple Music. I will call it iTunes because I'm of a certain age, but it's Apple Music now. It's Spotify, SoundCloud, I think Tidal. Like it's a lot of places. Just tell a friend about Knew Amsterdam. Drop a review if you can. NewAmsterdam.com is the website. My name is Flobo Boyce, and I want to thank you so much for checking out this show and all the other projects I'm working on. Google me. I do a lot of things. And hit me up on social. We'll be friends. Add me. I'm always around for a conversation or two. So next week, part 2 with Jim Alexander. But as always, until next time, this city is yours.